Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2021 GMC Canyon, we're going to be showing you how to install the Roadmaster towed vehicle battery charge line kit. But before we do that, why don't we check this out and talk about why it's a good idea to run one of these. When it comes to setting up your flat tow, you're going to want things to go smoothly and work like they should and be easy to figure out. And a charge line is one of those things that it's a small component, and I feel like a lot of people forget about it, but it really does make a big difference. And what this is going to do is keep your truck's battery topped off and in good working order whenever you're flat towing it. The reason that your battery can get depleted is because whatever braking system, supplemental braking system that you use, so like for example today we have an Air Force One on here, super common, that uses your truck's battery power to operate whenever you're flat towing it. And so what can happen is, you're out over the road for all day, every time you hit the brakes, your battery's gonna drain a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And then you get to where you're going, try to start up the truck, and the battery's dead. And then you gotta get, bust out your jump box or cables or charger, and who wants to deal with that, right? It'd be so much better if you just turn the key and fire up the truck. And so that's what the charge line is going to do. It's going to use your motorhome's 12-volt auxiliary power at the back of its 7-way to send some of that amperage up into your vehicle and to the truck's battery. That way it'll give you the confidence knowing when you get to your destination, you can hit the key and fire up the truck. There are a couple of questions I do want to address. It seems like quite a few people are wondering about, and that one of them is the charge line going to affect your motorhome's batteries? And the answer is no. Since it gets its power from the 12-volt auxiliary, it's only going to essentially charge your battery whenever the motorhome is running. And whenever the motorhome is running, it uses its own charging system through the alternator and whatnot. So there's more than enough amperage left over to steal a couple amps and send it back into your truck's battery. So nothing to worry about there. And I also want to mention you're going to need your truck's battery has to be in good working order to begin with. If you got a bad battery in here, this charge line isn't going to rejuvenate the battery. So if you're running into issues with it dying, even with the charge line set up, it's probably, chances are really good it's nothing to do with the charge line. These are pretty reliable, really don't run into any issues with them. And so more than likely it would be just your battery just going bad over time. But other than that, it's one of them components, like I said, that often get overlooked. And this is something that I recommend for every flat tow that I set up, not just the Canyon. Regardless of the vehicle, it's something good to use, especially now a lot of these late model vehicles have electric assist brakes, electric assist steering, and everything's electrical now. And so keeping the battery with the proper voltage is going to allow all them other systems to work properly and keep you safe and keep you going. So no-brainer, at least in my opinion. But as far as getting this installed, really easy. It's just a couple of wires. You mount up the breaker, and that's really all there is to it. On our particular truck today, it was already kind of half done, kind of an oddball setup, but the concept and how this works and will get hooked up for the majority of the people is going to be the same. So if you'd like to see how it's done, feel free to hang around. We'll go ahead and get it hooked up now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the front of our truck, and what we need to do is hook up one of our wires. And so this truck has kind of an oddball type setup, but the idea of this is going to be the same. So they actually have a 7-way round connector at the front. In most cases, you're going to have a 6-way round connector. But they already kind of had this half done here, so we'll do our best to explain it. What you would normally do with your 6-way round connector is take the wire that comes with your kit, strip it back, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. And with the 6-way round, you would usually go to the middle terminal, plug it in, and then that wire will get ran up into the engine compartment. In our case, with it being the 7-way, it's hooked up to this terminal here, our 12-volt auxiliary terminal. So like I said, it was already kind of half done, so we're just gonna make do, and hopefully the idea of this will translate over to your setup. But in our case, this wire here gets connected to that pin, and how this is gonna be set up is the electricity from our motorhome, the 12-volt power, is gonna get sent back through here, through this terminal, and through this wire. And like I said, this wire runs up into the engine compartment, where we're gonna hook it up to a breaker. So in the engine compartment, here's where our wire runs up and it goes over to our breaker. Like I said before, the wire that comes with the kit will be a red one like this, but since I already had this routed, might as well utilize it, so that's why it's black in color, but same idea again. The circuit breaker, I just mounted right here to our radiator support, just a couple of self-tapping screws. The wire that goes down to the connector plug at the front of your truck, that'll get connected to the gold post. This post is labeled battery, so it's kind of misleading. You'd think you'd want to hook this to your truck battery, but the motorhome, in a sense, is working as our battery, so that's why it goes there. You're then going to take the remaining portion of your red wire, crimp on a small ring terminal, and attach it to the silver post on the breaker. And then this is going to go to your battery, or the battery post, the hot side of your battery, whatever you want to call it. But what we need to do, we'll strip this end back, give those wires a twist. Then you're going to take the larger ring terminal that comes in the kit, slide that over the bare end of the wire, and crimp it down. And what I'm going to do, since our vehicle has a battery disconnect, I'm going to hook this to the hot side of the battery disconnect. And that's perfectly fine. The current from our charge line will still run up to our battery. If you don't have one of these, then you can always just go right to the positive battery post, and it'll accomplish the same thing. But with that said, what I can do now is grab a couple of wrenches for our battery disconnect, take off the hot side nut. We'll slide this over and bolt it down. Remove the nut there, slid the ring terminal over it, tighten it back down, and that's really all there is to it in terms of getting the charge line hooked up. Pretty straightforward. And now whenever you're flat towing behind the motorhome, your battery can get maintained and essentially trickle charged. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Roadmaster towed vehicle battery charge line kit on our 2021 GMC Canyon.